Hey guys, what's up? Ron Parks here and welcome back to the channel. In one of my last videos, I focused on the top 5 credit cards to own that can make you money, and I mentioned that many of these cards require a pretty high FICO credit score to get accepted. There are always methods to increase your credit score, which will help getting you some of the top branded credit cards, as well as helping you get the lowest interest rate when you buy a car or a house. I'd like to go through some of those ways to get your credit score up. But the first thing you need to do is go download a free copy of your credit score at annualcreditreport.com. I'll leave a link below. And the free credit report, remember, will not show you your FICO score. To get this, you have to join a credit tracking service such as myfico.com or sign up for this free service at Experian, which I'll talk about below. So let's go through all the 5 sections of the report. Okay, so part 1 is your personal information. I would check the data to make sure it's all correct. Sometimes the credit bureaus can incorrectly match data with the wrong person. And if you see anything that looks unusual, go to the dispute section and dispute the information. Okay, section 2 is really one of the most important sections. It's titled Credit History, and this is a sample of your credit history for each account you have on file. You'll see every account you ever had, and whether you have a balance or you closed the account or paid it off in full, and if you paid it off in full but the account is still open, it will show that also. So make sure the information matches your records, because sometimes you'll see a note of a late payment or some ding on the report, and these will automatically reduce your credit score. So if you think a mistake was made, the first thing to do is call your credit card company. Ask them to research that late payment or whatever item it was and make an adjustment. If they do make an adjustment, they'll report the new information automatically to the credit bureau. And at the same time, I would go onto the credit bureau's site and dispute the item. So remember, anything that's correctable will be corrected. And if it's corrected, it could change your credit score for the better. Part 3 of the report shows all the credit inquiries. So I have a credit monitoring service which I pay for to make sure that any changes to my credit is monitored and reported to me. And with so many financial scams today going on, it's easy for someone to get your financial information and take out credit under your name and your social security number. And you'll only know this is happening real time if you sign up for a service. And if you have many credit cards or want to watch your credit history in real time, this is the way to go. And down below, I'll give you a list of the best credit reporting services. And section 4 is public records. These are regular inquiries which are posted when someone accesses your credit information. So the presence of an inquiry means that the company listed received your credit information on the date that's specified. And these inquiries will be made on your credit file for up to 2 years. And the last section is what's called promotional inquiries. The companies listed in this section received your name, address, and other limited information about you, so they can make a firm offer of credit or some other service. Remember, they did not receive your full credit report, and these inquiries are not seen by anyone but you, and it does not affect your credit score. Now that we know what to look for in the report, if you follow these steps, I am confident you'll get a better score within 90 to 120 days. So the most important, number 1, pay your bills on time. This might sound obvious, but when lenders review your credit report and request a credit score for you, they're very interested to know how reliably you pay your bills. That's because past payment performance is usually considered a good indicator of future performance. You can positively affect this credit scoring factor by paying all your bills on time as agreed to every month. So paying late or settling an account for less than what was originally agreed to pay will negatively affect your score. So you'll want to pay all your bills on time, not just credit card bills or any loans you may have, such as auto loans or student loans or mortgages, but also your rent, utilities, phone bills, and other recurring charges. If you're behind in any of these payments, bring them current as soon as possible. And although late or missed payments appear as negative information on your credit report for 7 years, their impact on your credit score declines over time. So older late payments will have less effect than the more recent ones. Okay, tip 2. Get credit for making utility and your cell phone payments. One of the credit bureaus is offering a free product called Experian Boost. If you've been making utility and cell phone payments on time, there is a way for you to improve your credit score by factoring in those payments through a new service. Now, these accounts usually are not taken into account when they calculate your score. But if you have been paying these on time, then it's a good idea to link these accounts to your credit account with Experian. They will have more positive bill pay information that will positively affect your score. Now you have to go online with Experian and opt into the program. After you verify the data and confirm some information, they'll add that information to your credit file. So visit Experian.com, I'll leave a link below, to register. And by signing up for a free Experian membership, you will receive a free credit report and a free FICO score. Tip number 3, pay off debt and keep balances low on your credit cards and other revolving credit, but do it strategically. We talked about utilization ratios in the last video, so let's build on what we learned. Since the FICO score also looks at each card's ratio, you can bump up your score by paying down the card with the highest balance, which will have the highest utilization. So if you have 2 cards and each utilization ratio is 40%, pay down one card and your utilization on that card will go down, along with your total utilization on both cards. Lenders typically like to see low ratios of 30% or less, and people with the best scores often have a very low credit utilization ratio. It's funny because credit card companies want you to have the credit available, but only benefit on a FICO increase if you pay it off at the end of the month. So when balances owed start getting higher and higher, then your FICO score goes down. Okay, tip number 4, apply for and open new credit accounts only as needed. So don't open accounts just to have a better credit mix. It probably won't improve your score. And unnecessary credit can harm your credit score in multiple ways, from creating too many hard inquiries on your credit report to tempting you to overspend and accumulate debt. And tip 5, don't close your unused credit cards. Keeping those unused credit cards open, as long as they're not costing you too much money in annual fees, is a smart strategy. Because closing an account can increase your credit utilization ratio. And owing the same amount but having fewer open accounts will lower your credit score. Okay, tip number 6, don't apply for too much new credit. When you apply for new credit, it results in a credit inquiry. So opening a new card can increase your overall credit limit, but the act of applying for the credit itself will create a hard inquiry on your credit report. And too many of these inquiries can negatively affect and impact your credit score, though this effect will fade over time. So just keep in mind that hard inquiries remain on your credit report for 2 years. And tip 7, dispute any inaccuracies on your credit reports. You should check your credit reports at all 3 reporting bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, for any inaccuracies. Incorrect information on your credit reports can drag down your scores, so verify the accounts listed on your reports are correct, and if you see errors, you dispute the information and get it corrected right away. Also, monitoring your credit on a regular basis can help you spot inaccuracies before they can do any damage. So I've covered 6 tips that are pretty common to use, but here are some that are pretty uncommon, but will have a really good effect on your credit score. So number 1 is you can raise your credit limit. So if you tend to have problems with overspending, I wouldn't try this, because the goal is to raise your credit limit on 1 or more cards so that your utilization ratio goes down. But again, this only works out in your favor if you don't feel compelled to use that available credit. I also don't recommend trying this if you have missed payments with the issuer or have a downward trending score, because the issuer could see your request for a credit limit increase as a sign that, oh my goodness, you're about to have a financial crisis and that you need some extra credit. I've actually seen this result decrease your total credit limit with that card issuer. So be sure your situation looks stable before you ask for an increase. So that said, as long as you've been a great customer and your score is reasonably healthy, this is a good strategy to try. Okay, now a very easy tip number 2. Find out when your issuer reports your payment history. You can call the credit card issuer and ask when your balance gets reported to the credit bureau. So it's always best to pay it off before the reporting date, so your new score will be reflective of the payment. And you can also pay twice a month. So let's say you've had a rough couple of months with your finances, and maybe you needed to rebuild your deck or did some other projects at the house or get a new refrigerator. And if you put these big items on a credit card to get the rewards, it can temporarily throw your utilization ratio and your credit score out of whack. Once you call, make sure you ask for not only the closing date of your statement, but also the date that they report your balance to the credit bureaus. So make a payment 2 weeks before the closing date on your statement, and then make another payment just before the closing date. All of this assumes that you have the money to pay off your big expense by the end of the month. And by the way, don't use a credit card for a big bill if you plan to carry a balance, because the compound interest will create an ugly pile of debt pretty quickly. And credit cards should never really be used as a long-term loan unless you have a zero interest credit card. And even then, you have to be mindful of the balance on the card and make sure you can pay the bill off before the intro period ends. Otherwise, you'll get charged the full interest during that whole period of time that it was outstanding. Okay, so tip 3, mix it up. I wanted to raise my score, so I decided to get a car loan. I needed a car anyway, at a very low rate. I spent a year paying it off just to get a mix in my credit. And at first, my score went down a little, but after about 6 months, my score started to increase. So your credit mix is only 10% of your FICO score, but sometimes that little bit can bump you up from a good credit to an excellent credit. So those are just 3 unusual ways to look at increasing your score. And the bottom line is that you do have control over your credit and how high or low it could be. If you were a bad credit user, well, that trend can be changed over time. And your credit score will go up eventually, and the bad information will wipe itself clean from your record. If you follow this process, I'm confident you're on your way to a higher credit score. So thanks again for watching, and I would much appreciate it if you can smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe. Any comments below would be really helpful. I'll look forward to responding, and until next time.